Okay, hello. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a quick overview of where we left off. So I'm just using the notes that we had like when we last met. Okay, so we had the kicker who's kicking the football, starting at 0 yards up and 0 yards out, so 0, 0. And then it told us that it's a 54-yard field goal, so that was 162 feet is 54 yards. And it told us that it was 12 feet up when it goes through the goalposts. So right here, it was at 162 feet out and 12 feet up. And then it told us that the ball landed 10 yards after that, which was 30 more feet, which got us to 192 feet total and 0 yards up. So basically, that gave us 3 ordered pairs. It gave us 0, 0, which is where the ball starts. It gave us 162, 12, which is where the ball goes through the goalposts. And it gave us 192, 0, which is where the ball lands. Okay, so I did look back at my previous year's notes to see how I did this problem, and we did have to use a matrix because the goal of the problem is to figure out what the maximum height of the football is. So basically, I've got to figure out what this y value of my vertex is, so the maximum value. So to do that though, to know what that ordered pair is, I've got to figure out what equation models this parabola. So I'm going to use the 3 ordered pairs that I have and put them into a matrix so I can figure out what my equation is. So here's what I mean. We know that the equation is going to be in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals y. So for the point 0, 0, I'm going to plug in 0 for x and 0 for y. So a times 0 squared plus b times 0 plus technically c times 1 equals my y value of 0. Okay, likewise, here I'm going to have a times 162 squared plus b times 162 plus, again, c times 1 equals now 12. And then here, a times 192 squared plus b times 192 plus c times 1 equals 0. Okay, so going back to unit 4, I can put that into matrix form by doing, here my coefficient of a was 0 squared, which is just 0, and then 162 squared. I'm not even going to square it. I'm just going to write it in my matrix as 162 squared. And then same thing here, 192 squared. And then here I've got 0, 162, and 192. And then here, and here I've got 1. So that coefficient matrix times A, B, and C equals 0, 12, 0. Oops. 0, oh my gosh, 12, and 0. Okay, so to get A, B, and C by itself, to figure out what my A, B, and C of my equation is, I have to multiply both sides by the inverse of this. So I need to do 0, 0, 1, 162 squared, 162, 1, 192 squared, 192, 1, inverse, times 0, 12, and 0. Okay, so bear with me while I do that in my TI-84. So I'm going to go second matrix, and then I'm going to I'll make this a 3 by 3. Okay, 0, 0, 1, 162 squared, 162, 1, 192 squared, 192, 1. Okay, second quit. Second matrix again. This time I'm going to make it a 3 by 1. Okay, and that's 0, 12, 0. Okay, and quit. Oops, second quit. Okay, so now I'm going to go second matrix A inverse times second matrix B, and I get that crazy number, but I'm going to go math, enter, enter, and that's still kind of weird, but it's not so bad. So I've got y equals my a value, which is negative 1 over 405 x squared, plus 64 over 135 x, technically plus 0. Okay, so we can either, we know that the vertex is going to be exactly halfway between 0 and 192, which is 96. So I can either plug that in to this equation for x, or I can graph it in Desmos and then see, like, I can just click on the vertex. I'm just going to do that just because it's faster. So -1 over 405x squared plus 64 over 135x, x. Okay, and then I'm not going to worry about doing plus 0 because that won't change anything. Okay, and it looks like I get 96 comma 22.75556, which means that this is approximately 23 feet high, because I think that it did ask us to round to the nearest whole foot. Okay, so I hope that I'm getting this to you in enough time that it's still helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, though, and good luck on your exam. Okay.